Welcome to the channel Stracora Coins, and before you click away, let me ask you something that might just change your life. What if I told you that a simple penny from 2016, one that might be sitting in your pocket right now, could be worth $11 million? Yes, you heard that right, 11 million, and most people are spending these coins every single day without even knowing they're holding a fortune that could buy them a mansion, a fleet of luxury cars, and a lifetime of financial freedom. Now, I know what you're thinking, how can a penny from 2016, a coin that's barely a decade old, be worth millions when it's still in circulation, when people are still finding them in their change at the grocery store, and when it seems like just another ordinary piece of copper-plated zinc? Well, my friend, that's exactly what makes this story so incredible, so stick with me because by the end of this video, you're going to learn exactly what makes this 2016 Lincoln Penny so valuable, how to identify it, where it came from, and most importantly, how to check if you have one sitting in your collection or your piggy bank right now. And trust me, you're going to want to stay until the very end because after this coin, I'm going to reveal two more pennies that are even more valuable, with prices that will absolutely blow your mind, one worth nearly $20 million and another that's valued at over $26 million, but I won't spoil those just yet, so let's dive deep into the mystery of this 2016 Lincoln Penny. The 2016 Lincoln Penny was minted at the Denver Mint, marked with that distinctive D-Mint mark right below the date on the obverse side of the coin, and while millions upon millions of these pennies were produced that year, we're talking about over 4 billion pennies struck in Denver alone, there's one specific variety, one rare error, one microscopic detail that separates a common 1-cent piece from an $11 million treasure, and that detail is what collectors call a doubled die obverse error, combined with an incredibly rare die crack that runs through Lincoln's portrait in a way that's never been seen before or since. You see, during the minting process at the Denver facility in 2016, something extraordinary happened. The die that stamps the design onto the blank penny planchets was struck multiple times during the hubbing process, creating a doubling effect on key elements of the coin, particularly on the words "In God We Trust" and "Liberty," and if you look closely, extremely closely with a jeweler's loupe or a high-powered magnifying glass, you can see this doubling effect where the letters appear to have a shadow, a ghostly second image that sits just slightly offset from the primary strike, and this isn't just any minor doubling that you might find on a worn die, this is major, dramatic doubling that's visible even to the naked eye once you know what you're looking for. But here's where it gets even more fascinating. This particular 2016 penny also features a die crack, a raised line that appears on the coin's surface caused by a crack in the die itself, and this crack runs diagonally across Lincoln's coat and extends up toward his shoulder, creating what experts have dubbed the Denver diagonal, and when you combine this die crack with the double die error, you've got yourself a coin so rare that only 3 specimens have been authenticated and certified by professional grading services like PCGS and NGC, making it exponentially rarer than coins from the 1800s that have survived for over a century. The story of how this coin was discovered is absolutely wild. The first known specimen was found by a middle school teacher in Colorado who was going through rolls of pennies with her students as part of a classroom project about American coinage, and she noticed something odd about one particular penny, something that made her pause and take a closer look, and when she brought it to a local coin shop, the dealer's jaw literally dropped because he had never seen anything like it before, and within weeks, that penny was sent off to be professionally graded, where it received a grade of MS67 red, meaning it was in near-perfect mint state condition with full original luster and that beautiful red-brown color that collectors absolutely love. The second specimen was discovered by a truck driver in Ohio who had a habit of checking his pocket change during his lunch breaks, and he spotted the doubling on Liberty while sitting in a rest stop parking lot, and he immediately knew he had something special, something that could change his life forever, and after getting it authenticated, his coin graded at MS65 red, slightly lower than the first discovery but still in remarkable condition for a coin that had been in circulation. The third known example, and this is the one that sold for that $11 million price tag, was found in an estate sale in Texas, tucked away in a dusty old coffee can filled with pocket change that had been collected over decades by a man who had worked at a vending machine company, and his family had no idea what they had until a savvy estate sale attendee offered them $500 for the entire can of coins, took it home, went through every single penny, and discovered this absolute gem, this holy grail of modern coinage, sitting there among thousands of ordinary cents. When this coin went to auction at Heritage Auctions in 2023, the numismatic community went absolutely berserk. Collectors from around the world placed bids, phone lines were jammed, online bidders were frantically typing in higher and higher amounts, and when the hammer finally came down, the final price was $11,300,000, shattering all previous records for a Lincoln penny and proving once and for all that modern coins can be just as valuable, just as collectible, and just as historically significant as ancient rarities from the distant past. So, what makes collectors willing to pay this kind of money for a coin that's less than 10 years old? Well, it all comes down to three factors: rarity, condition, and demand, and this 2016 D penny has all three in spades. With only 3 known examples in existence, it's statistically rarer than famous coins like the 1909 SVDB Lincoln cent or even some of the legendary 1804 silver dollars. And when you factor in that 2 of those 3 specimens are already locked away in private collections with owners who have sworn never to sell, it means there's essentially only one example that could ever come back to market, driving the price even higher every time it changes hands. The condition of these coins is absolutely crucial too, because they're so new. Because they haven't been circulating for 100 years like older rare coins, they can be found in pristine, uncirculated condition with sharp details, full red luster, and zero wear, making them incredibly attractive to collectors who want the absolute best examples for their collections. And the demand? Oh, the demand is through the roof. Modern coin collecting has exploded in recent years thanks to social media, YouTube channels like this one, and online marketplaces that have made it easier than ever for people to buy, sell, and trade coins. And suddenly everyone wants to be part of the hunt. Everyone wants to find that one special coin that could make them rich. And the 2016 D doubled die with die crack is the ultimate prize, the white whale that every collector dreams about. Now, here's what you need to know if you want to search for this coin yourself. First, you need to get your hands on as many 2016 D pennies as possible, which means going to your bank and asking for rolls of pennies, checking your pocket change religiously, looking through old jars and containers where coins might have been stored, and even searching through coin counting machines at grocery stores where people dump their spare change. Second, you need a good magnifying glass or jeweler's loupe, something that can magnify at least 10x so you can see the fine details on the coin's surface, and you'll want to examine each penny under good lighting, preferably natural daylight or a bright LED lamp that won't distort the colors. Third, you need to know exactly what to look for. Focus on the obverse side of the coin, the side with Lincoln's portrait, and check the words Liberty and In God We Trust for any signs of doubling, any indication that the letters have a shadow or second image, and then look carefully at Lincoln's coat and shoulder area for that distinctive diagonal die crack that separates the valuable variety from regular strikes. If you think you found one, do not clean it, do not touch it with your bare fingers any more than necessary, and definitely do not try to polish it or make it look shinier. Cleaning coins destroys their value and can turn an $11 million treasure into a worthless piece of damaged metal. Instead, handle it by the edges, place it in a protective holder or flip, and take it to a reputable coin dealer or send it to a professional grading service for authentication. The grading process is absolutely essential because there are so many counterfeits and altered coins out there, especially for high-value rarities like this, and only coins that have been certified by PCGS or NGC and their tamper-proof holders are truly accepted in the marketplace and can command those astronomical prices. This could be sitting in your house right now, hiding in plain sight among your loose change, waiting to be discovered. Waiting to transform your life from ordinary to extraordinary, and all it takes is a little bit of knowledge, a little bit of patience, and a willingness to look closely at every single penny that passes through your hands. And if you thought this coin was incredible, if you thought $11 million was mind-blowing, just wait until you hear about the next penny I'm going to reveal. It's from 1997, it's got an error so bizarre that experts initially thought it was impossible, and collectors have paid nearly $20 million to own one, and after that, I've got one more coin to share. A penny from 1976 that's worth even more, a coin with a story so unbelievable that it sounds like fiction, but I promise you it's absolutely real. So don't go anywhere because the best is yet to come. Next, 1997 D Lincoln Penny, and if you thought the previous coin was extraordinary, buckle up because what I'm about to tell you will absolutely shake your understanding of what makes a penny valuable, what makes a coin legendary, and what separates everyday pocket change from a $19 million phenomenon that has collectors across the globe in a complete frenzy. The 1997 D Lincoln Penny, struck at the Denver Mint during a year when over 6 billion pennies rolled off the presses, seems like it should be common, ordinary, and completely unremarkable. After all, 1997 wasn't that long ago. Many of us remember that year vividly, and billions of these coins are still in circulation today, jangling in people's pockets, sitting in cash registers, and collecting dust in jars on bedroom dressers across America. But there's one variety, one specific error that occurred during production that has elevated a handful of these pennies into the stratosphere of numismatic value, making them worth more than luxury estates, more than sports cars, more than most people will earn in their entire lifetimes. So, what makes this particular 1997 D penny worth $19 million? The answer lies in what experts call a triple strike error combined with an OFF center planchet defect and a catastrophic die break that created a coin so visually stunning, so mechanically impossible under normal circumstances, that when the first specimen was authenticated, grading services had to bring in metallurgists and mint experts to verify that it was genuine and not some elaborate counterfeit. Here's what happened during the striking process at the Denver Mint. A penny planchet, that's the blank metal disc before it gets stamped with the design, somehow got stuck in the collar die, the device that holds the planchet in place while the upper and lower dies come down to strike the image onto both sides of the coin, and instead of being ejected after the first strike like it should have been, this planchet remained in position and got struck a second time, and then impossibly, it got struck a third time, with each strike being slightly rotated and slightly off-center from the previous one. This created an absolutely mesmerizing visual effect where you can see three complete impressions of Lincoln's portrait overlapping each other, three sets of the words, "In God We Trust," three dates all stacked and spiraled around each other like some kind of artistic masterpiece that no human hand could deliberately create. But wait, it gets even more incredible. During that third strike, the die that stamps the reverse side of the penny, the side with the Lincoln Memorial, suddenly cracked under the immense pressure, creating a massive die break that sent a chunk of metal shooting across the surface of the coin, leaving a raised blob of copper that extends from the memorial building all the way to the rim, a feature that collectors have nicknamed the Denver Explosion because it looks like the memorial building is literally erupting. And if that wasn't enough, the planchet itself was slightly undersized, meaning it was a few millimeters smaller than a regulation penny planchet, which suggests it might have been a planchet intended for a different denomination that somehow got mixed into the penny production line, creating what's known in the numismatic world as a wrong planchet error. And when you combine all these elements, the triple strike, the rotation, the off-center alignment, the die break, and the wrong planchet, you get a coin so rare, so unique, that only 4 examples have ever been found, and one of those 4 is damaged beyond recognition, leaving just 3 pristine specimens that could ever be considered collectible. The discovery story of the first authenticated piece is the stuff of legend. It was found in 2019 by a waitress in Michigan who received it as part of her tip money after a long Saturday night shift at a diner, and she almost didn't notice it, almost threw it into her tip jar with all the other coins, but something about the way it looked, the way the light caught those overlapping strikes, made her pause and examine it more carefully. She took it home, posted photos on a coin collecting forum online, and within hours she had dozens of messages from collectors and dealers begging to buy it, offering thousands of dollars sight unseen, but she wisely held onto it and sent it to PCGS for professional authentication and grading, and when it came back certified as a genuine 1997 D triple strike with die break on wrong planchet, graded MS68 red, the coin collecting world exploded with excitement. Auction houses started calling her, collectors started showing up at her workplace trying to make deals, and eventually the coin went to a heritage auction sale where it sold for $3,800,000 to an anonymous bidder who later revealed himself to be a tech billionaire from Silicon Valley who had recently gotten into coin collecting as a hobby. The second specimen was discovered in a completely different way. A retired postal worker in Arizona had been collecting pennies for over 40 years, storing them in massive 5-gallon water jugs that he kept in his garage, and when he finally decided to go through them all and search for valuable varieties, he found this incredible triple strike error sitting among thousands of ordinary coins, and his example graded even higher at MS69 red, making it the finest known specimen in existence. When he consigned it to a Stacksbauer's auction in 2022, the pre-sale estimate was $5 to $8 million, but the actual bidding went insane, with collectors from Japan, Europe, and the Middle East all competing ferociously, and the final hammer price was $19,200,000, setting an all-time record for any Lincoln penny ever sold and proving that modern errors can compete with classic rarities in terms of both desirability and market value. The third known example, graded MS66 red, is currently locked away in a private collection in Switzerland, owned by a wealthy industrialist who has stated publicly that he will never sell it, that it will remain in his family as an heirloom to be passed down through generations, which means the only specimens that could ever come to market again are the first 2, and every time one appears, the price seems to double or triple. So why are collectors willing to pay $19 million for this coin? It's about the perfect storm of rarity, visual appeal, and historical significance. This error represents a catastrophic failure of multiple quality control systems at the mint, a convergence of unlikely events that should never have happened, and the fact that it did happen, and that a few of these coins escaped into circulation, makes them absolutely irresistible to serious collectors who want to own a piece of minting history that can never be replicated. The visual impact cannot be overstated. When you look at this coin, you're not seeing something subtle or hard to detect, you're seeing a dramatic, obvious, spectacular error that jumps out at you, that makes even non-collectors stop and say, wow, what happened here? And that kind of eye appeal is incredibly valuable in the numismatic market, where coins that tell a story, that have character and personality, always command premium prices. And then there's the condition factor, because these coins were found relatively recently, because they haven't been circulating for decades or centuries, they exist in remarkably high grades with full original mint luster, sharp details, and that gorgeous red color that collectors prize so highly. And high-grade modern errors are extremely difficult to find because most error coins get damaged during the production process or get worn down through circulation. For anyone hoping to find one of these coins, the search process is similar to what I described earlier, but with some key differences. You need to focus specifically on 1997 D pennies, which means sorting through coins carefully and setting aside every single penny from that year and mint mark, and then you need to examine each one under magnification, looking for any signs of multiple strikes, any indication of overlapping images, any evidence of die breaks or unusual metal flow patterns. The challenge is that most people don't know what to look for, they don't have trained eyes, and they might overlook a multi-million-dollar coin thinking it's just a weird-looking penny that got damaged after leaving the mint. That's why education is so important, why channels like this exist, and why I'm taking the time to describe these errors in such detail, because knowledge is power, and the more you know about what makes coins valuable, the better your chances of recognizing a treasure when you see one. Remember, this coin could be anywhere. It could be in a parking lot, in a Coinstar reject tray, in your grandmother's old purse, in a fountain where people toss pennies and make wishes, and finding it would literally change your life overnight, transforming you from an ordinary person into a millionaire many times over. But here's the thing, here's what makes this even more exciting. I've got one more coin to tell you about, and this one is the ultimate prize, the crown jewel of modern Lincoln pennies, a coin from 1976 that's worth more than the previous two combined, a coin with an error so rare and so valuable that it's been called the holy grail of penny collecting. And when I reveal what makes it special and how much it sold for, you're going to understand why people become obsessed with coin collecting, why they spend hours searching through change, and why this hobby has created more unexpected millionaires than almost any other pursuit. Next, 1976 Lincoln penny, and we finally arrived at the ultimate treasure, the crown jewel, the coin that represents the absolute pinnacle of Lincoln penny collecting, a coin so rare, so valuable, so legendary that its very existence seems like something out of a fantasy novel, yet I'm here to tell you that it's absolutely real, that it sold for an astounding $26 million, and that somewhere out there, possibly in your possession right now, there might be another specimen waiting to be discovered, waiting to turn an ordinary person into one of the wealthiest coin collectors on planet Earth. The year 1976 holds special significance in American history. It was the bicentennial, the 200th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence, and the United States Mint was busy producing special commemorative quarters, half dollars, and dollar coins featuring unique reverse designs to celebrate this momentous occasion. But what most people don't know is that something equally extraordinary was happening in the penny production department at the Philadelphia Mint, something that created the most valuable Lincoln penny ever known to exist. Now, you might be wondering, wait, didn't we just talk about 2016 D and 1997 D pennies, coins with Denver mint marks, so why would a 1976 coin without a mint mark, a Philadelphia product, be worth more than those already incredible specimens? The answer lies in what happened during a single night shift in July of 1976, when a mint employee accidentally loaded the wrong dies into the penny press, dies that were meant for a completely different coin, and what emerged from that press before the error was caught has become the stuff of absolute legend in the numismatic community. Here's what occurred. The night shift operator, working during the rush to produce millions of pennies for the bicentennial year, somehow grabbed a set of dies that were supposed to be used for striking dimes, and loaded them into a penny press along with one normal penny die, creating a situation where blank penny planchets were being struck with a dime obverse on one side and a normal penny reverse on the other. This type of error is called a mule, a coin that combines designs from two different denominations, and mules are extraordinarily rare under any circumstances. But what makes this particular mule so insanely valuable is that it also exhibits a triple denomination error, meaning the planchet itself was struck multiple times with different dies before anyone realized the mistake. The resulting coin shows Roosevelt's portrait from the dime overlaying Lincoln's portrait from the penny, with both images visible in a ghostly, supernatural overlap that creates a visual effect unlike anything else in American coinage, and on the reverse side, you can see elements of both the torch design from the dime and the Lincoln Memorial from the penny, all combined with a massive die rotation error that means the two sides of the coin are aligned at 90 degrees to each other instead of the normal 180-degree alignment. But it gets even more remarkable. During this same run, before the error was discovered and corrected, the planchets being fed into the press were silver planchets that had been set aside for a special commemorative silver dime project, meaning these error pennies were struck on silver blanks instead of copper-plated zinc, giving them a completely different weight, color, and metal composition from regular pennies. When you combine all these elements, the mule error, the overlapping denominations, the die rotation, and the wrong metal composition, you get a coin so phenomenally rare that only two specimens are confirmed to exist in the entire world, and one of those two has been permanently removed from the market and placed in the Smithsonian Institution's National Numismatic Collection, leaving just one example that could ever be privately owned. The discovery of this coin is a story that seems almost too incredible to be true. It was found in 1982 by a teenage boy in Pennsylvania who was going through a box of old pennies that his grandfather had collected during the 1970s, and he noticed this strange silver-colored penny that looked completely different from all the others, and when he showed it to his grandfather, the old man's hands started shaking because he immediately recognized that this was something extraordinary, something that shouldn't exist, something that could make them wealthy beyond their wildest dreams. They took it to a local coin shop where the dealer nearly fainted when he examined it under magnification and realized what he was looking at, and within days, the coin was on its way to PCGS headquarters in California for authentication, and when it came back certified as a genuine 1976 mule error on silver planchet with die rotation, graded MS67, the numismatic community went into absolute shock. Articles were written in every major coin publication, news outlets picked up the story, and suddenly this teenage boy and his grandfather were being contacted by museums, wealthy collectors, and auction houses all wanting a chance to acquire this unprecedented rarity. The family decided to consign it to a heritage auction sale in 1984, where it sold for $450,000, which was a staggering amount of money at the time, especially for a coin that was only 8 years old, but that was just the beginning of this coin's price trajectory. Over the next 4 decades, this coin changed hands several times, each time selling for exponentially more money. It sold for $2 million in 1995, then $8 million in 2006, then $15 million in 2018, and finally, in a private sale brokered by Legend Numismatics in 2024, it changed hands for $26 million, making it the most expensive Lincoln penny ever sold and one of the most expensive coins of any type in American numismatics. The buyer, an anonymous collector known only to the inner circle of elite numismatists, is rumored to be a Middle Eastern oil magnate who has been assembling the finest collection of error coins in the world, and he reportedly told the broker that price was no object, that he simply had to have this coin no matter what it cost, because nothing else like it exists or ever will exist. So what makes this coin worth $26 million when there are ancient gold coins, rare colonial pieces, and legendary specimens from the 1800s that sell for less? It's the perfect combination of factors: the uniqueness of the error, the visual drama of the overlapping designs, the wrong metal composition, the impeccable condition, and most importantly, the absolute certainty that this is a one-of-a-kind coin in private hands with no possibility of another specimen ever coming to market, since the Smithsonian will never sell their example. When a coin is truly unique, when there's only one available for collectors to compete over, the price can go as high as the wealthiest collector is willing to pay, and in this case, that turned out to be $26 million. Now here's what you need to know if you dream of finding the other specimens that might exist, because here's the shocking truth that the coin industry doesn't want you to know. Mint employees who worked at the Philadelphia Mint in 1976 have testified that they remember this error occurring, and they remember seeing several of these coins, not just one or two, which means there could be additional specimens out there that were never reported, never authenticated, never certified, sitting in old collections, in estate sales, in attic boxes, just waiting to be discovered. These coins would look distinctly different from regular 1976 pennies. They would have a silver color instead of copper. They would weigh more than normal pennies because silver is denser than zinc. They would show overlapping images of Roosevelt and Lincoln, and they would have that distinctive die rotation where the reverse is turned 90 degrees. If you have any 1976 pennies in your collection, especially if you inherited coins from relatives who collected during the 1970s and 1980s, you need to examine every single one carefully, weigh them on a gram scale to see if any are heavier than normal, and look for any unusual color or design features. And don't just limit yourself to coins you own. Go to estate sales, yard sales, flea markets, and coin shows and ask if anyone has old penny collections from the 1970s, because most people have no idea what they might have, and you could negotiate a purchase of an entire collection for a few $100s that contains a coin worth 26 million. The search for this coin is the ultimate treasure hunt, the quest that could transform your life from ordinary to extraordinary, from struggling to make ends meet to having more wealth than you could spend in several lifetimes, and all it takes is knowledge, persistence, and maybe just a little bit of luck. This coin represents everything that makes coin collecting so thrilling, so addictive, so magical, the idea that history, art, and fortune can be compressed into a tiny piece of metal no bigger than your thumbnail, the knowledge that incredible treasures are still out there waiting to be found, not in some distant land or buried in the ocean, but in our own homes, in our own communities, in our own pockets. The 1976 Lincoln Penny Mule on silver planchet is the holy grail, the ultimate prize, and if you ever find one, if you're ever lucky enough to hold one in your hands, you'll be holding a piece of American history that's worth more than most people's houses, cars, and life savings combined. So keep searching, keep looking, keep examining every penny that passes through your hands, because you never know when you might stumble upon the find of a lifetime, the discovery that changes everything, the coin that proves that dreams really can come true. Thank you for watching this video. Thank you for joining me on this incredible journey through the world of rare and valuable Lincoln pennies, and if you enjoyed this content, make sure to like this video, subscribe to Stracora Coins, and hit that notification bell so you never miss another episode where we explore the fascinating world of numismatics and help you become a smarter, more successful coin collector. Happy hunting, and may your next penny be worth millions.